Hello and welcome to the Euphoria podcast. This is episode 18, following week 4 of the summer split, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and SoundCloud. I'm Drakos, joined as always by Caedrel. And now we have 2 representatives, the top 2 teams right now in Europe.
Enemies.
Now enemies.
They hate each other.
Former teammates and absolute besties.
We were considering putting like a glass sheet between them because of how much they hate each other and how much war is going on.
We thought they were going to hit each other. We didn't want that. Didn't want them to get disqualified. Abbedagge, BrokenBlade. Abbedagge, BrokenBlade. How do we... NA pronounces so differently. I'm sorry, this is a tangent already.
No,
how should we pronounce your name?
Okay, Abbedagge is completely fine to me.
Yeah.
I love how everyone kind of finds their own...
pronunciation. Like the back half is just a mess.
Yeah, like everyone is just finds their own way, and then I just roll with it. I think that's a fun part about the name. Everyone kind of has their... Like in Turkey, it was Abbedagge.
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 That sounds
fancy.
German, like Abbedagge.
Abbedagge.
But yeah, I like all the different ways people kind of pronounce it.
Well, I'm a fan of Dancing Queen, so I'm going to call you Abba for...
Yeah, I think when I'm casting, I call him Abba.
Yeah,
I don't even say Abbedagge. I just say Abba. I'm like,
I don't know if that's out of shortening or if we're just afraid to mess it up on
No, I think it's just out of shortening. I don't know why I do that.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
BB, your name is not as mysterious.
Yeah, I mean, people started calling me only Broken or or my name in
Depends
Turkey.
how you played.
No. In Turkey, there were a lot of people actually called me by my name. I think it's like less common in like the gaming industry, right? Where you call someone by your name, you call them by the gamertag.
Yeah.
But since I went to NA, like Björksen started calling me BB. Then from that point on, a lot of people did, and you guys do as well. Right?
Yeah, I call him BB when I'm casting too.
It's catchy. Yeah, it's easy to say.
I like it though. I think it's nice.
Wait, what do you mean they called you by your name? Like your real name?
Yeah,
like
my real name.
Sergen.
That's
actually.
Do they say the full thing?
No, not the casters, but like all the other people around.
Got it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Nice.
He just touched me with his leg. I was like,
It wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, we might have.
I love how he was like smiling.
We
just like blank face stared at him.
The glass screen actually has to be there for a different reason, guys. It's not.
It's love.
They're not going to
war.
fight each other. Yeah. Anyway.
No,
it just reminds me.
Blanks.
One of my first events ever, there was someone there from like traditional sports media. I think she normally worked for ESPN, so she wasn't used to being around people referring to each other by gamer names. And it was me on the broadcast with Freak, and I was just randomly like, "Yo, Freak!" Like, and she's like, "Why are you so mean?" Like, she didn't understand that was a name. People were like, "Freak, can you do like?" And she just thought people were calling this guy a freak.
Yeah,
over
the same
and
thing.
over
In
again.
Atlanta at Worlds, I went to get food, and I didn't have my wallet on me, and I was like, "Oh crap!" And I saw in the distance, I saw Freak, and I was like, "Oh, perfect!" But it was a street full of people, and I went Freak really loudly, and everyone just like looked at me like this, and I was like, "Oh!" And I was like, "David!" It was the most awkward thing ever. Just trying to get some Chick-fil-A, and then boom, everyone thinks I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, and you are. So God bless. just letting the world know where your freak.
Small tangent. That was
flag
awkward.
proud.
Worst part of
Anyway,
Worlds.
break days might be real. Some teams I know are still practicing on break days, which sounds horrifying. What do you guys do? What do you guys do on your break days? Do you guys ever hang out anymore now that you're not teammates? Do you guys ever like get together, see each other, catch up?
I wish we did it more. You know,
I'm not trying to put.
It's a good time to talk about this.
No, yeah, let them talk
right,
about
yeah,
it.
let's talk about
air
it.
the grievances. Air the grievances.
I mean, the thing
boys.
is, I have a very tight schedule in G2. Right, we have a lot of things. Like especially when we do scrim, we have a lot of things like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do on this day. Like for me, at least individually, we have Isma with the exercises. We do like I do my own exercises, right? Because I wake up earlier than the rest.
Yep.
And when I have an off day, I would like to use it, right? And I use the off day usually for to spend time with my girlfriend. That's why I don't have much time for my other friends.
So it's not worth your time.
No, I'm not saying that. I did actually already discuss with him that we can meet up in the break week after summer finals.
Okay.
Which hopefully we're gonna play against each other, right? Right now it's like the finals, and I hope he's willing to go out with me like the good old times.
The good old times.
But I also hope he's understanding of my precious time.
Has-
And so am I of his time.
Yeah. Has one of you ever like reached out more than the other, being like, "Hey, you want to go out?" And the other one's like, "No, no, no."
I mean, I think Abbe has been reaching out
I've
more.
been reaching out.
Oh wow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So you're the one who has to like
Uh-oh.
talk your way out of it now.
See, the thing is that I love how you open with like, yeah, you gotta understand, I'm really busy at G2. Like, this man isn't also playing pro. Like, your
No,
G2
not saying
schedule
that.
is
He's
so
just
saying
unique.
that.
He's like, see, I play for a different team where we have a real intense schedule. It's not as casual as you boys. I'm sorry, that's not what you said.
No, the way I want to put it is like, I take Tuesdays like off, right? Like I don't touch the game. I think there's a lot of players who still play a couple games.
Yep.
But for me, I like to really, okay, I'm not gonna play
100%
because it's also for me it works in a way that for me it's like a resting thing. And even if I would not be in a relationship, I would be not using that day to play. Rather than I would look for my friends to go out with, right? I mean, I have less time for that, which makes sense, right? Because I am using that time to reset as well. But I'm mainly using it for my girlfriend, right?
Fair
enough.
But in the near future, we're gonna hang out more, right?
That's what we're excited for.
Yeah, I mean, he just put it on me to make finals, and then I stay here because like if I'm out, I'm not gonna stay here, right?
No pressure.
So then I'm not gonna see him.
So what you're saying is, if you really want to hang out with him, you're gonna lose to Excel. That's what you would do. You would just throw, because then
no, because he still has the lower record, right?
So so hang on a second. So if you guys finished like bottom 2 and you were knocked out, you'd have gone home. So then you wouldn't have been able to meet up with him because you planned after finals. So what you're telling me is you knew Excel would make it the top 3.
No, like I was like if you notice, like I was motivating him to like that LeBlanc performance would not be there if I didn't tell him let's hang out,
Oh shit.
So
he thinks that way.
But
I'll just do it out of spite.
You're gonna call him. You're gonna be like, "Where are you?" Or you're 45 minutes late. You're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had better things to do." Just bam.
Yeah, I mean, we used to. But to be fair, we used to.
I feel like we made this so awkward. I'm sorry, boys. Trying to just.
I'll just make finals. I'll win it, baby, and then
my God.
when he asked me, hey, do you want to hang out? And I will say, I'm busy.
Oh my God.
Cold.
Hit him with it. What do you do on your off day? Obviously, BB, you're completely disconnecting, spending time with the girlfriend. Are you a solo queue guy on your off days? Are you still playing League of Legends? Or are you also trying to disconnect?
So at Excel, and our apartments are located in Adlershof. That's the industrial area. So
it's where the studio is. For those who don't know, if you've ever been to the studio, that's the neighborhood.
There's not that much just activities where you can just like hang out, or like nice restaurants and people you connect to the real world. Because our weeks are just grind. So on those days, I actually just take a cab like 20 minutes and then try to have a nice breakfast and even some dinner.
Nice.
Some places that I used to go to when I was in Schalke. Because back then we lived more in the center where it was very lively. You could go to a restaurant anytime.
Are you going to like Charlottenburg? Like, do you want to? I don't want to like give up the sauce here on where you're going, because I don't want to leak where you are like every Tuesday for the crazy ABBA fans. But is it like Charlottenburg? Is that where you're headed back to?
It's kind of between Charlottenburg and Kreuzberg.
Okay.
Charlottenburg is where we used to live in Schalke.
We'll talk later about restaurants. Because now that you've said you specifically go there consistently, I don't want you to be like swarmed, I don't want it to be like, oh, Abba's breakfast, our breakfast. Like people rolling
Just becomes a Tuesday morning routine for everyone.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you're getting out of Adlershof, because I think the one big thing is like, all right, for people who don't know, Adlershof sucks. It's a terrible place. It's for students and tech companies and television studios. It's awful. It is unlivable. I'm sorry you have to live in this neighborhood. But I'm really glad that you're leaving, because I've heard of a lot of players who just stay here on their off days. And it's like, Berlin is a great city. There's good food, especially in summer. There's cool shit you can do. But none of it is in Adlershof, man. Holy shit, that's brutal. So good on you for getting out.
But you guys are right next to Vitality as well, right?
Yeah. They're our neighbors.
Yeah, you like literally are door to door Vitality. Did you ever like scrim them during the season and like talk to each other about it? Or did you give each other some smack? Was it like awkward at all at first? Like you're invading their personal space, being like, hey, new neighbor.
Well, technically we could beat them in a scrim set and then go over and handshake them. We were considering it, but we thought it was 2 p.m. It might be awkward, you know. We wanted to keep the relations good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had some scrim days, but then we actually don't see each other afterwards.
Yeah.
But one time we went out to volleyball, or like it was football that we played after a scrim set. It was pretty nice to hang out a bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
But we didn't talk about scrims at all. We didn't even talk much, honestly.
Fair enough.
It was just us versus them in a football court.
Yeah.
Who won the football?
I think they won.
Well, at least they won something.
But we won scrims.
Oh. You're just going to try to sneak that in there? At least they won something.
Well, you know.
They might make it to season finals without winning a best of 3 or best of 5. So that would be
if you
the
guys
real
make
victory.
top 2, not only they might have beaten you in football, but then they can't make season finals if you make top 2.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's
Are
true.
you saying that?
That's
So I
true,
think SK hitting top 6 already hurt them a lot.
Yeah.
If one more thing happens, I think it's XL make top 2, Fnatic make top 2, or Heretics make top 3. GG.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyway.
All right. So this last week we had a lot of games, a lot of pretty high stakes games. Ultimately, congrats to both of you for coming on top. We can talk more about your specific games, but I wanted to get your reads on the patch, actually, specifically, because I think that we knew it was going to be a pretty big change. We didn't know exactly what we were going to see, but you both had to adapt a lot. I'm going to be honest. I was very thrown when Excel just didn't scale every game and try to team fight late game. And you are on a G2, so you play weird shit all the time. You can't play normal shit if you had to, as far as I can tell. So I'm just curious, like how you guys are feeling about the patch, how your teams are feeling about the patch. I know it's a little tricky because you're going to play each other, so I don't want you to give away all of the secret sauce here. But just like, hey, what do you think is good? Is anything better than you expected it to be? What do you guys think?
BB's smile is the most unreadable thing ever. When
What
you're
does
talking
it
about
mean?
the patch, he's like smiling as if I don't know what he's about to say.
I mean, there's someone sitting on the table who asked me specifically if the champion has a counter, but he didn't get a response from me.
Go ahead. Just go ahead, BB. You start talking.
And I mean, the patch overall, I think the biggest change was the supports you play, right? And all the like Yumi, like this boring stuff is out. And I think us in G2 we're very explosive, or we can be. You guys know Mickey. He goes in when he wants, when he pleases. But I think, I think we have a very good way of like dealing with stuff. Like we have a really good analyst as well. Rodrigo, shout out. Abbe knows him as well. We worked
from the Schalke days, yeah. Yeah,
usually we are very, very crisp on like, oh, this has potential, this champion, and then we start playing it, we start practicing it, and in the last years we played Iron, right? And Yike put a lot of effort in making that champion work, and he played very, very great series, right? And we love to play weird stuff in G2, but all this weird stuff that we play is because we put a lot of effort into it, and we make it work. Otherwise, like, we wouldn't go into a series or like a game, right, without picking something like, oh, this is just first time, you know?
Yeah, it wouldn't just like first time, like, I don't know, got Callisto or a Set or an Iron. You'd practice that in scrims and make sure you're...
Did you first time something? Is he calling you out of it? What'd you first time there, bud?
I mean, I think over the years you for sure first time stuff, right? But when you're a player like me or Abbe who have been playing for a long time, it's rare to like.
It's never really the first time.
Yeah,
it's just the first time
it's just,
in a while.
Once you're in the scene for a long time, it's like hard to like play a champion that you like didn't play, you know. But yeah, I mean, maybe we can get some intel from Abbe here as well.
Yeah, you gave us.
This is great. Have we ever had a podcast where we've had like two players from opposite teams playing against each other on the same weekend?
Actually, normally we avoid it, but because you guys had history, we thought it would be a good idea. And I'm curious as we get more into the conversation if anything's going to slip.
Just like one person slips up and the other person's like, oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah, are you enjoying engaged supports being back in the meta? Because I feel like everybody's mid laners are living a good life right now where their supports come to their lane and actually do something instead of just like, I'm here. Ooh, ooga booga. I'm Emilio in your mid lane. Be scared.
Well, yeah. I really enjoy the new meta. It's a lot more enjoyable than just a Yumi or Amelia, and then whoever lanes better is like, wow. And then if you didn't lane well, then you still have a chance, like, just to scale. But it also fits limit a lot. Well, we kind of saw all the changes, and we were like, why are we on this patch for so long? The 13-11.
Yeah, 3
weeks.
Like,
why are we on this horror Yumi patch for this long? And then we have limit just waiting on the rel and
his rel was crazy.
The buffs and stuff. So, well, I can leak it to you, BB. He definitely prefers to play rel over Yuumi.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that already. I played with Limit as well.
And there was some other changes as well that we quite like. I'm not gonna expose what exactly it was. You might have seen it this weekend. You might have not.
Don't worry, we know.
Yeah.
We've scrimmed G2 a lot the past week.
Oh yeah?
Tell them how it went.
What was it?
We learned.
Okay.
Lucy's improved.
Wow, the absolute casual delivery of tell them how it went.
We might have given them some fake data.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
I think you got them figured out.
I think we kind of got them figured out.
What?
It's always the same theme.
Yeah, because if you were winning too much, you'd give them too much info.
Yeah.
And
sandbagging scrims is a classic strategy around Worlds for Asian teams.
So when you said you knew, do you really know? To see what you or got. Has it made you believe you know?
No, we know. They also have a common theme, which is they just don't win. But I mean, props to them.
People are gonna like clown on Abba and Excel after this episode. They're like top two.
No,
they're so
if Excel win that best of 5, it's
I'm gonna get the heat. I'm completely aware, but I'm going in with this confidence. Obviously, we are respecting our opponents. We have a common thing in G2 that we have failed at in Spring Split. That we were really, really cocky at times. And I think this split, especially, no matter who we play, I feel like we're going into the game with the same amount of expectations, same amount of pressure we build up. And like before every game, no matter what, Roma comes to us, says, guys, don't get cocky, And we make it really, really important to like keep our ego down. And like I feel like because our worst enemies is ourselves, that's what we feel. And when we get way too loose, we disrespect our opponents. It can be like, oh, we're starting to lose some games, And I feel like in Spring Split against Mad Lions, that happened.
Yeah.
And then later on in MSI, they got stomped, right? 3-0. And that's because I think we stopped like disrespecting our opponents and like really, really putting emphasis on like, oh, we're going to treat our opponents really well. We're going to treat them with respect, as I think it should have been from the get-go, because we are like in a competitive league, right?
Do you feel like you've been treated with respect, Abba? Do you feel like the podcast
that's just friendly banter?
Has shown you respect?
I hope he won't take it.
It was very respectful.
Yeah, very respectful.
I love how he's like selling this whole like, let's not get cocky speech, but while he's saying it,
immediately
he's holding in a laugh. He's like,
bro. The two faces of you, BB, I feel like, is you're going to immediately say something that is absolutely not at all PR funny, like not over the line, and then you immediately follow up with like the, here at G2, Rama always reminds us not to tell.
Obviously, this is like all jokes, right?
Yeah, I know.
I don't mean no harm or disrespect to my dear friend. I want to lit the fire for them,
You're my enemy next week.
I want to push the league. So if G2 is on top of the league, I want everyone to feel like we're the enemy and try to beat us. They will make the league better in the long run. And I hope Excel did overcome the hurdles. I feel like even, and I think I actually think their patch is quite fitting for them. Like they have obviously found their way and rhythm, as we saw in their games, right?
Yeah, and that's a good transition because I'd love to talk about the XL victories first. How did you feel about the team's performance this weekend? You had a nice interview with Trouble after you guys qualified, where you gave away a lot of draft stuff. So thank you for that. You were just talking about stuff willy nilly about what you want to first pick, about what you were looking for, trying to get a Maokai. Maybe you were feeding fake data to BB, who was probably listening intently. But it was a fantastic weekend in terms of results. How do you feel about it?
I mean, we were really confident coming into the weekend. We had a lot of good preparation.
This is the results.
We had so much going for us in terms of the patch on what we wanted to do, and then we also felt like we had like a couple different strategies that even if they know one of our comps that we want to play, we still have 2 or 3 others. So we were quite like before in regular season, I felt like we had like one or two style of comps that we were comfortable on.
Are you referring to Maokai, Azir, Zaya by any chance?
I might be. But we just evolved a lot kind of through the new patch.
Yeah.
And then just making it work this weekend on stage was great.
Yeah, I know we've already glossed over the patch, but it's interesting how, like, I know we'll get back to this XL stuff because there's a lot to talk about with all the whole Fnatic situation, but the patch is kind of weird because one, you have like melee supports coming back.
Yep.
Two, I feel like because Wukong, Vine, etc., even the Rek'Sai nerfs a little bit, AD junglers have fallen off, so now it's like AP junglers. So now you need kind of like AD mids as well, so like the East is playing a lot of Yone. G2 is like cooking up Lucian mid because they're probably like, we need AD mid somewhere. And then they're playing Kalista, which is also like, I haven't really seen that throughout the rest of the world either. Yeah. So I kind of think that you can do a lot right now. And if you get like LeBlanc, then you need an AD mid and Lee Sin's better. So there's a lot of different comps you can do nowadays rather than just playing like this teamfight scaling. We have a range support scale stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes the game a lot more exciting. But I feel like drafts become a lot more telegraphed. And I'm also confused why everyone just gives over Kai'Sa. Maybe there's just a lot of OPs to ban away, but Kai'Sa just seems to be super OP, but everyone gets Kai'Sa on blue side no matter what. So I'm kind of like, what's going on? But yeah, the AD pool changed as well. You know, Gale Force nerfs, Aphelios nerfs. It's like Zaya, Kai'Sa, and then what? Ezreal, Ashe.
I think we're living in the best timeline, personally, for patch right now, at least compared to 13.11. Like, maybe I'll hate this patch, and by the end of next week, who knows? We'll have to find out. But in the meantime, I mean, in your first series, though, I will say, like, I wasn't ready for you guys to look as good against Mad as you did. Now, Mad did suck in some ways. You know, I kind of thought Mad was going to like come into form, but I think what really impressed me the most was that you guys diversified your style so much in such a short period of time, because when you were making your run through regular season, we got very used to seeing most of your comps and wins look almost exactly the same. And it feels like you guys played just overall much better game. Peach obviously had a fantastic Lee Sin performance. You had a couple genius plays where you like blue carded this guy, baiting him into a false sense of security so that he would then come and attack you and you got a kill. You had that Ahri charm where you like flashed and tried to... What? Can we talk about the Ahri charm? You flash over the wall into mid-tier 2. You wait for like half a second and then you charm. Are you just trying to bait the ult? Are you just looking him in the eye and saying like, fucking ult? Like, believe that I'm going to flash charm you.
Okay, it's awkward to admit this, but I did not want to flash. But then something was riding me, and no, I guess I just misclicked, actually.
Turned out good, though.
Because I was hovering my E to, like, look for a charm.
Just over the wall.
And then my flash suddenly happened. And then I was like, okay, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. So I look for a charm. It hits. I die completely, like, for free.
Yeah.
And then they still commit hard into us. And
they commit hard into you. And
my team does some crazy things, like the 3-man kick into like a rumble ult is like perfectly lined out, and I'm like, oh.
The best part about this play,
it worked.
It worked, but literally like you do that play, which at the time I'm convinced is not a misclick, but it's like some crazy mental warfare strategy where you just like trying to get Force Zaya to ult, and then you're gonna charm her afterwards. I'm convinced you're like way too lost in the sauce of like mental warfare in League of Legends. The 3-man kick comes out, but there's no one nearby. So for the first half a second, we're like, it's the greatest kick of all time, but it doesn't. And then the rumble all comes. That was my favorite play of the split so far, because that was just a hot.
It's like, you know, you look at LPL and LCK and you're like, wow, how do they snowball games? It's like, oh, they have like really insane macro. They set up insane dragon fights. And you guys in that first game, you were like, yeah, we flash over walls by accident, but then we win them and we ace them. And then we get a mid-tier 2. And it's like, damn, the game's blown wide open. It's crazy how like the butterfly effect of a misclick can just make you win a game.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that fight won you the entire game, kind of.
I would say they could have just taken the win, you know, after killing me, and then they don't have to go anymore.
Yeah.
But they still decided they wanted it.
Again, I'm sick of it. Mental warfare. You baited them. They're like, this guy's griefing. They're all griefing. Wrong. He's one step ahead. I think just every time you make a mistake, you should rebrand yourself as the big brain guy and be like, no, you guys just don't understand. I'm on another level.
Also, that series, why did... Actually, maybe if I'm asking this question, it's going to leak something. But
yeah, you have to be
I'll
careful.
say it to you. You know what confused me about that series?
What confused you about that series?
You know, we cast that series after game 1. We were like, Rumble's a problem.
Rumble is a problem.
Game 2, Rumble's not a problem.
Yeah.
Like, they don't ban it. And then you get Rumble 2 games in a row. And I was like, what's going on? Because, I feel like Rumble's
Rumble looked pretty strong. You do have one of old man Odawamne over there, a good friend of us in the show. was very sad last playoffs when he couldn't play Rumble when Rumble was coming back. He's like, God damn it, it's finally my time. Now he's here. Rumble's back again. Slightly adjusted, mostly reworked. Getting to play it. Yeah, I mean, Peach and Odo look fantastic. I feel like this series, you didn't get to do as much, admittedly, mostly because I remember those two specific plays, the TF one and the Ahri one more. But I think in the series versus, other than game 2.
Okay, I want to go back to that Ahri play.
Okay.
And I feel like if I start with ult and I just jump Poppy and we're all 4 there, we're forcing a Herald on tier 2 mid, it would be great. Because but did I make it, like I was looking for something, right? I was looking to charm them. They kind of,
it was good
they
position.
don't know I'm there. They don't know I'm there. But if I just start the play on like one of them with ult and then I don't get Poppy eat into the wall,
then
I'm sure it would be great to force there, because they are like, we saw Rakan bot, we saw J-Spot, we saw their top laner was also top. We have 4v2 mid, so forcing there is like it's the best play.
Yeah.
But
No, yeah, I think the angle was good. I'm just memeing you because of the way that it played.
I think it's just
out.
like the angle was good, but it's just like the flash over the wall into waiting. We thought like, oh, you were waiting for a charm angle, but now you tell us it was like a misclick. We're like, you were also kind of surprised that you flashed over roll for a second.
I did want to fight, but not like that.
That's how it goes. But I also thought the SK series was, I mean, looked super confident outside of game 2. What you talked about in the post-game interview, you said like draft was just, you guys were not feeling the draft. And again, it's tricky because BB's here, but maybe you can go into more detail about like what you don't want to play. Maybe, I don't know. You can tell me if it's too tricky. Just tell me, and we'll move on. Do you remember your game 2 draft?
I'll just say we thought they're gonna do something. Okay, I don't remember exactly what happened, but we thought they're gonna ban one of our picks that would make the other pick stronger. So we were like, okay, let's ban this away so then we can get this and it's gonna be good. But then they kind of went with the same ban, and then we were thrown off because. But honestly, I don't know. It was my idea, and then it somehow didn't work out. But I mean, we did it as a team, right? And we got lost in the sauce because there were like 3 different picks, and we kind of wanted to get the best on blue side, right?
Yeah.
But then after that, we also misexecuted. We didn't really play well. But we also felt like we gave SK exactly what they wanted. They had like 5 of their favorite champs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a roughie, but you know,
balanced out by game 3.
We bounced right back. Like our coaches got something prepared, what we knew was gonna go really well for us in game 3.
Yeah, this LeBlanc pick that you cooked up over there with Static Shiv, that seemed very good. I don't know where your coaches got that one, but that seemed fire. that was sick. No offense, your coach. I'm kidding, but you obviously had a fantastic game 3, and I think overall it's like faith in Excel is slowly starting to grow more and more, because I think right now, and BB, you can share your thoughts here, I feel like outside of G2, the entire league right now is so inconsistent, right? Like, I don't know who to bet on in 90% of series. Like, I don't see scrims, right? So I'm playing with much less information than either of you guys are. But who's going to win any series? No idea at this point. I thought I had it figured out. I thought Fnatic was going to be SK. I thought Fnatic was reliable too. I thought Mad might be reliable. They're not. That one's less surprising.
It's crazy if Mad Fnatic is the lower bracket. It's like whoever loses is out. Just expectation setting of like how best of series go.
Yeah. How do you feel, BB, about the league?
I'm not sure. I think there's some teams where I'm like, oh, this team was supposed to be good, which is Fnatic is the obvious case, right? I think that SK is actually good. I was surprised when XL beat them. Actually, I thought that SK was going to win. I think their team is a team that it's a weird team, because they were the header was split where they were doing really great.
Yep.
Then the next split they were doing really bad, and now I feel like they're on the way of doing good again. Obviously XL beat them, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's not the case anymore, right? But I feel like those players they progressively get better and better. So maybe not, like I feel like they have these kind of players who are maybe not great now, but they could be very like good players in the future. And it seems to be that they are working well together. So I don't even think like the next series play against
SK?
I guess, winner of Mad
Yeah,
Fnatic, right?
Yep.
And I think they could, like, if I look at them, if they play against Mad or Fnatic, I think they could win, right? If I had to give it to someone from the Mad Fnatic series, I would give it to Fnatic, just because I think Mad is looking extremely shaky. I think they haven't won many games. Actually, I think they're on like a crazy losing streak.
Yes.
I think like maybe
5, 6, 7 now. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, and so that's why I would give it to Fnatic. I think Fnatic was 7-2 in the regular season. They got 2-0'd, and now they're probably like really motivated because it's like the first really hard loss. I also thought it was a bit weird that they choose SK, was one of the teams that they lost to, and then they choose them in the you know.
Wait, who do they have to choose from? SK
Mad.
SK Mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could see an argument for both sides. Again,
Yeah,
I
but
think it
it's like-
depends on if you believe in the mythical Mad bounce back that we see unreliably and inconsistently on occasion.
Wasn't on PGL, Razork said, we choose XL. And he was like, you can't choose XL. So, oh, okay. So he left and came back.
Yeah, I was there. But yeah, I think overall the league is a bit shaky. Yeah. And I think the series that we're about to play on Monday is gonna decide whether like, oh, it's actually like G2 is just on top, or there's like contenders, right? Like, because if XL is there and like making it really, really hard for us, right? Then we can be like, oh, the league is starting to, you know, get better and better, because we are getting to the end of this tournament, and then it's gonna be season finals and then Worlds, right? So we want to be at our peak when we play against not only us but every single team, right? Because we're sending 4 teams to Worlds, and we don't want it to be that only one team is like good, or like, well, we obviously want as many EU teams to be as good as possible, because that also gives everybody else to be improving from that, right? Because I feel like you really learn from being challenged in the game, and the more teams that are there that are like very creative in a way of like how to defeat you, then you get better by that. And I feel like that's the main difference between, like, I feel like LPL, LCK, there's like many good teams.
Yeah, there is.
And for us, for example, it's like, it was Fnatic. Like, we felt like Fnatic was like, oh, now we have a good rival. But now they fell off. And now we want someone else to be there, obviously, right? Like, we don't want to be like, oh, we're just the best and stuff like that. We also want to be challenged, and we want to challenge other teams still, right? To also, you know, just get everyone else better. Like, I feel like that is what competition is about. And I feel like if teams use, like, for example, I feel like if teams use the strength that we have, they can get better from that, just because I feel like we are above everyone else right now.
So you're saying you should give them your strength on purpose so they get better, so you play against better competition?
What?
Sure. Not really, but you get the point.
How much anime have you been watching?
Just like,
did you just try to
full
make
Super Saiyan?
You think League of Legends can just spirit bomb it? He just puts his hands up in the air and
so like all 9 teams just give
embarrassed?
them like 10% of their power and just go to Worlds.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Karen.
We're not allowed to do podcasts early anymore.
Yeah. That's why I feel like I feel like SK is doing that. Like, I feel like they are starting to be like, oh, like, at least in scrims, right? I think in scrims they have been actually quite good.
Yeah.
Like, they have like XL is also a team that is like, I feel like you kind of get the vibe when a team like gives up, you know? And I feel like XL is a team, for example, or SK is a team that in scrims, no matter what, they will try to win the game, right? No matter how the game looks. And that's what I get from the outside perspective. Obviously, I don't know, right?
Yeah, I can't tell. You're smiling a little bit. I can't tell if it's because you agree, Abba.
I don't want to talk about those scrims, you know.
You can talk about other scrims.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I got, like, Dylan also gave a comment that, oh, if you play against XL, I feel like they always try to win, you know, and I don't want to name other teams that are on the negative side. I don't want to call them out, right? But there's definitely some teams that are like, oh, this team just running it down.
I feel like you won't have to call them out, because Roman will do his end of split tweet of scrims and, like, you know, doesn't he do like who cancelled
but
and stuff?
I have to say, it has gotten so much better. You know, like, I feel like teams have stopped canceling.
Yeah.
Have stopped like we actually play a lot of games now, because for us it was like, oh, we don't play game based, we play time based, right? So we play from a specific time to a specific time, and how many games we can get in that specific time frame. Sometimes we go over it if it's like, oh, we can squeeze one game in. That's how we want to do it, and that's the whole like whiteboard thing is based on our philosophy of scrims.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like saying, oh, we're gonna play 6 games today. Okay, one game was a 15-minute FF. so let's just play another one, right? Like that's our philosophy, because I feel like it's not about, oh, we have to play 6 games and that's it. It's about getting as much practice as possible. And like sometimes the games are lost, right? So it's fine for teams to just FF and get a new game in. But then we don't like it if like we play 6 games, all of them are 15-minute games, because it did happen before, right? Where you just stomp a whole game or you get stomped, right? You want to play more. And obviously it's hard, it's challenging to be the team that says, oh, let's play more even though we get stomped. And I think this split especially, there's many teams, so huge props to everyone who has been doing that. You know, I think that should be the culture anyway of like scrimming. Like I don't like it when teams were like, because I was a part of that too, was like, let's cancel last game, like in the past. But now that I'm on this team, obviously I'm winning a lot, so it's easy for me to say, oh, let's just play it out, right? But I feel like I get the idea of what we are trying to do.
As much as they stopped giving up, just a quick question, and like you get that extra game in, and let's say the series was just a stomp overall throughout the day. Do you feel like that last game is still productive?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends, right? Because a lot of the time, teams are like, let's win the last game, right? Last game matters. Only last game
matters.
counts.
Culture is important, yeah.
And that is something very, very good, I think, because either you end the day on a high note, right? Or you get another game, right? For the other side. Because we are usually on the winning side, but sometimes it does happen that we lose, like a lot of games. Not like a lot, but for us, a lot is like 2-3 games, right? In a day. And then we still don't want to be like very, very down on ourselves. We still discuss the game. And I feel like that should be, like, it's hard to keep emotions 100% out of the way, I feel like. But I feel like that should be the goal of everyone, right? Yeah. You are going to be frustrated at times, but I feel like you should use that frustration to get better, right? That's what challenges are there for, I feel like.
Yeah. I'd love to hear more about kind of what's going on behind the scenes at Excel, because we've heard from BB a lot about the G2 practice culture, and you talked a little bit in your interview again after your series about how like you saw the potential of this team, you've been getting consistently better, but you were a little bit of like, as I understand it, a fly on the wall for start of spring, kind of like watching this team as it was obviously super tough. Now you've come in this split and it started super tough, and now you guys are doing fantastic. What has that transition been like behind the scenes to go from a team that's like, because again, at the start of summer, it felt like another bad split, and that has to be a shitty position to be in. How did you guys like keep a solid mental and actually like progress and get better as a team throughout this split with the kind of this pressure hanging over the top of you?
Well, okay, let's start from spring, because
the
fly on the wall. But I still was a sub for Excel, so I had access to scrims and voice comms and stuff, so I tuned in sometimes, and I looked like, hey, because I haven't been part of a team now for 2 splits, and I wanted to still see like how does communication go and kind of how does the teamwork go, but kind of felt like I was tuning in to a funeral, because you could just get the bad vibes through the
comms,
right through the comms,
like
you didn't even have to be there. And so coming in summer split, I had like this mission of like, hey, like this, we gotta improve the team environment, or this is not gonna work. We gotta vibe with each other. We gotta have a mindset of just getting better, like by 1% every day. And then with the staff, the coaches, and our performance manager and everyone, they have set up this culture to success. And we've had Peach come in, we've helped him with his English, and we've kind of grown into a great team with like a lot of bonding. And we've made it our mission that we don't just have to improve inside the game, we have to improve our relations outside the game a lot. I wasn't part of it, right? But you could still feel there was some
tension.
And after week 1 of summer, we got 0-3, but we didn't really believe it. We didn't believe this was reality. So we took it with a calm, steady mind. We reviewed what happened, and we were like, we weren't really being ourselves. That the selves that we've shown in scrims, who we really are. we kind of went on stage and we fumbled. We were nervous. We weren't really. We just played horrible.
Yeah.
Like you can't point at one person that didn't play bad that first week.
Yeah.
We kind of reviewed outcomes and we were like, hey, like we're nervous. Like let's just calm down a bit. And then we had a really good kind of strat that we just, hey, like let's do one thing next week.
Yeah.
We'll be good at it and we'll be calm and collected. And from there we collected the momentum. We kept rolling, and ever since that, like it's just been going very well for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you guys have been progressing very quickly. Because again, the transition from, and I don't know how much happened in scrims, but we have this break week, come in week 4, you go from a team that feels like it plays mostly one style of composition to now you're like completely changing. And I know some of that is the meta. Did it feel like you guys made a ton of progression in the week between regular season and group starting?
Well, it was just this whole new patch, and we were like, okay, this old stuff, it's fine, but we got all this new stuff now that we can, we kind of looked at it and we're like, oh, my support's favorite champions, my top laner's favorite champions, and then the others can just kind of adapt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've really felt great. Before week 2 of regular season, we saw all these changes with like Rumble, Yuumi getting nerfed into the gutter.
The Rel, the North, everything.
We were like, okay, let's make it past this regular season, and then we really have like a lot of things going for us.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's brought you guys both to an excellent point. I think we'll talk a little bit about your guys' upcoming matchup against each other, but maybe just to get some nice trash talky sound bites or something, just because obviously it's hard. You can't like really say anything, right? Like, oh, we're going to attack this player or blah, blah, blah. But I would love to talk specifically about your guys' history a little bit, because I see you now both very far in your careers. BB, every time you're on, you're like talking about like the philosophy of improvement and getting better. But you're talking about the importance of like this culture for Excel, which is great, because when we had Odo on near the start of the year, it sounded like that culture really wasn't there. So I'm happy to hear that progress. But I imagine if we had met you during your TCL Royal Bandit days, when you guys played together, that you might not have been able to so eloquently describe your philosophy, that you might not have even had a philosophy. I don't want to like criticize the culture behind the scenes for the Royal Bandits. I don't really know what was going on, but it was also like 2017, 2018, these era when it was a little bit more like Wild West in esports. Do you guys see how far you've come as like people? Like, what were you like back then when you were playing?
How old were you back then, actually?
I just hit 17.
Wow.
I think Abba, you were 18.
No, that was in Royal Bandits.
In
that was 2018.
2018 or Galatasaray before that.
There I just hit like my first like professional like TCL, right?
So our first split together was Galatasaray 2017
it was
spring, I think.
Mysterious Monkeys.
Yeah.
Before like our first
run us through your whole history then.
Okay, so that's actually a funny story. So basically, I started getting into the scene a little bit, and then Mysterious Monkeys hit me up, and I had a team of like some people, and Abba was part of it. And I was a Riven one trick still, right? Like I was mainly playing Riven, and then I looked at him. He was back then, like I was the only challenger. It was like 500 LP challenger back in the day, and Abba was like playing only Viktor, and he was like master tier 300 points, something like that. And then at some point, I went to my manager. I said, "I don't want to play with this guy. He's only playing Viktor." And he was saying, "I don't want to play with his Riven one trick." And then we started getting a liking of each other. Right, we started playing more. Then we started playing in Mysterious Monkeys. Went to Gamescom.
Yeah,
got second there, I think, or third.
I mean, we kind of got. We kind of got shit on in like
we got shit on.
The quarterfinals or semifinals. I think it was semifinals.
Yeah, and that was
Gamescom.
That was like our first. I think that was my first. Like, oh, I have to go somewhere and play. Back then, I was 16, I think.
Yeah, we were very young.
And
good times in Cologne, Gamescom.
Yeah, then that's where we both went to Turkey qualification match for Viktor's esports. It was called back in the day. We qualified to TCL, but back then we're not like 100% part of the team. It was like kind of like a loan, right?
Yeah. We were loaned to the Turkish team.
And then the next split, we started playing for the team that took over that team, basically, which was Galatasaray Esports. That split was not the best split I've ever had in my life. We relegated.
Relegated? Oh, no.
I think the only win that team had was when I was not playing because I was banned. If you remember, I was banned.
Oh,
do you want to?
Okay, I was banned for 2 games because I was playing, like, you know, in Turkey football, there's like some rivalry between like some teams.
Yeah.
And obviously there's some like music they published and there's some swear words and stuff towards that team. And I played it on stream. Back then, like my Turkish was very, very bad. And I was like very shy, very, very shy person actually. And then the whole chat was spamming like, oh, play this music. And I played it. And I was a little kid giggling in my chair. And then my manager comes in like, stop it. And then a couple hours later, I was like, oh, you're banned.
Oh my God. Two games banned.
Yeah. I was banned 2 games. And that 2 games, they won. That was the only win. That was best of 2 back in the day.
Yeah.
So you played either 1-1 or win or like either draw, win or lose.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we didn't win with me.
But you must felt like terrible. You were like, oh my God.
It was like, we're kind of doomed anyway. But
and like the last 2 matches, BB was playing jungle.
Yeah,
which is in Italy.
What?
I was playing.
Okay, I see this TCL 2017 winter. Galat 2-4-8 in the round robin. So presumably 2 wins, 4 ties, 8 losses.
Why did you play jungle?
But there's like 20 people listed on this lineup. It's like you, Smoke, Crimson, Kanani, Nero, A. Daniel, Decagon, Moon, Abba, the only mid laner, and then you have the Killer S, Medagger, and Noxiac. Bro, that's
like
a
10
wild
players on your
roster.
It was wild. It was the wild first like team I've been on, like the professional team, right?
Yeah,
it was a very wild split.
We went through 4 weeks of just roster swaps every single week.
Yeah, I mean,
just a new jungler coming in.
Before in Turkey, when things didn't go well, you would just get like swapped out.
Yeah, I remember.
Which I don't believe in that kind of thing, right? I think you need some time to improve.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was very, very common in Turkey, and we're losing, so things got changed. We kept on losing, so things got changed again. And at some point, I was like, okay, just put me jungle. Just and I was playing Nidalee with like the Hextech, the ice item. Where
ice,
the
super
the
soaker,
GLP 500,
the
whatever.
Hextech GLP, yeah. And I'm pretty sure that was the wrong build at the time. Anyway,
I think I did the exact same thing in HUK. We lost like the first 2 weeks, and I was mid in LEC. And I said, just put me jungle for a weekend, like maybe it fixes things.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't fix. We lost.
Yeah.
Never played jungle again. But yeah, and then it's like the crazy thing between me and Abbe is we never played more than a split together, but we played together like so many times. I think it was like this is was it 3rd or 4th time? I think we played together in Galatasaray. It was Mysteries Monkeys, Viktis, and in Schalke, and it was all like just like 3 months period.
Yeah.
But what I have to say though, like the team environment always when we were together was very good. Like it was very it didn't feel more like we are in like a professional sports team kind of thing. It was more like we're very, very close with each other, right? So I can call Abbe one of my closest friends, not only in esports, right? We have had a very, very long history together, right? Obviously, we know each other since very young age, and
you grew up together, kind of.
Exactly, yeah, and
with each other and against each other.
We didn't play much against each other because when I was in NA, he was in EU, and when I was
vice versa.
Exactly, like the last week when we played them in regular season was like the first time we played against each other, like
really,
like ever. I think, yeah.
Actually,
oh my god,
wow.
Like,
wow, we
before-
suck. We should have figured
So
that
you were
out. That's
together,
our
and
bad.
then you
That should have been
dodged
a
each
bigger
other.
story.
Yeah, and we always dodge each other. So that I got the first win. I
And
cannot-
but your guys' draft that game, I remember it. Oof, you were playing like Nautilus into like Trundle Braum. I was like,
Yeah, and we insta rotated the Nocturne into LeBlanc. And
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Just like very early on in the draft. And
Yeah.
Oh,
then
yeah,
they kind of just picked stuff that if they right click sucks, they just win. So
Lucky.
Yeah,
Lucky.
I also had Olaf into like the craziest comp ever.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
Nautilus,
Santa
Nico,
and
Desante.
Nocturne.
Yeah.
It's funny how things work out, that your relationship starts with you both shit-talking each other behind their backs to your coach.
As
about-
16-year-olds,
Yeah, as
one tricks.
16-year-old
Yeah.
one tricks of like... okay, so one, I really understand ribbon one trick, mostly because I see a lot of them. How are you a Viktor one trick?
That was the old Viktor as well, where you had to get like 100 stacks or something to upgrade.
Wait, was this? No, this was...
Wasn't it?
No,
this-
he was actually
he had the item. He had the item back
Oh, no,
then.
they
You
had
had to
the
pay
item.
1,000 gold to
Yeah.
upgrade the item.
yeah, it was season 5 or season 6, if I
Yeah.
remember
Season
correctly.
5.
Why did you pick Viktor? I'm just out of curiosity. It's totally unrelated to everything else now, but like, why were you a Viktor one trick?
So I was either playing Graves ADC, it was still the old one, or Viktor mid, and then
Yeah.
I felt like I should make a choice between just playing only mid or only bot, like
Yeah.
maining one role. So
Mm.
I went mid, and Viktor was my favorite champ. I'm pretty sure I wasn't a one trick. Like I did play other champs, except I wasn't the one trick like someone else on the table.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Viktor was like my highest mastery points by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it might have looked like I was just very comfortable. Like I would lock it in solo queue whenever I could, because I don't know, I'm just vibing, like
Yeah.
Just
Just-
vibing.
just farming, and I'll be strong.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Upgrade the E,
It's also
one-shot
like
the
it's also
wave.
like not only were they 16-year-old one tricks like flaming each other, but they also were like bottom of the barrel. Like you were losing in TCL, and now you're like top 2 in the LEC. Like what a glow up through the years.
Then, even like the incremental glow up over time, because first you were losing in the TCL, you guys come back together in the future on Royal Bandits, and you were admittedly you were second twice on that roster, and when you finally joined for that single split again, because you're never allowed to play for more than one split together. We've learned it's a rule of the universe.
It's,
Second,
it's weird.
but you guys dominated regular season, clearly good. Then you went to North America, did good. Came back for Schalke, then you went to North America. It's crazy how intertwined your guys'
But you came back
stories
together
are.
in EU, and then he left you.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, after TSM, I did not have the greatest offers ever. So I was like, okay, Schalke is interesting, because I was like, I get the chance to play with Abba again, right? And we both probably improved quite a lot since the last time. I go there. We had a really crazy start of the split. We were tied first place with G2 5-2 into, I think we lost 7 games or something. It was 5-2 into 5-9 into 9-9.
What a roller coaster.
Yeah, that was a roller coaster, and I know like we had to win every single game, and I think that roster we got 4th place, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
if you get one more split, we can actually get a lot better, right? Because I feel like we had really, really big slump. I mean, we started this split off well, right? And I don't know. I don't actually remember what happened. Like, what made us lose so many games in a row?
Yeah.
Because
I'm not sure either. I forgot.
But then the sad reality was you woke up one summer's day and they were like, BB, Abba's gone. We sold him.
I mean, actually, what I really respected from Abba was like he told me first
yeah.
before anyone else, which showcases our true friendship. And yeah, when I heard the news, I was not sad. Like, I was sad that I don't get to play with him, but I was happy for him, right? Obviously, because I thought that was a big challenge, and I think in esports you have to be a bit prioritizing yourself and your self-improvement, your self-growth, because at the end of the day, obviously your team matters, but in the end, what you do, what you achieve is obviously more important, right? And for him, I think it was a great decision. Obviously, it messed up some things in Schalke, and it did leave a mark for me, that split, right? So obviously 10th place. It's not because Abel left that we got 10th place, obviously, right? But it definitely made things harder than it had to be.
Yeah.
Because I thought we are on a good way. But he went to NA, won the split. He went there, which I couldn't do. I got second place. The split I went there.
Yeah, but you got unlucky, didn't you?
We got really unlucky, guys.
Team Liquid. Ooh.
It was. I thought that series was. I played so goated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I was happy for Abbe, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how you both your careers are so comparable, and how many times you guys have come together, and also for like your little moments of redemption where like you leave, you didn't have as many offers, you got on Schalke, you look pretty good, eventually you get your shot on G2, bam, like huge, I think, redemption arc in your career in terms of level of performance, like reminding people that you're so good. And Abbe, it feels like you're going through something similar, because obviously your start in NA was fantastic, but by the end there, you ending up teamless, you're second on Excel. I didn't know when we were going to get to see like the top end of your potential, or when we were going to get to see you play on stage again. And now here you are on Excel playing against G2 to decide who's 100% guaranteed minimum top 2 in the league right now. And it's wild how you guys have both gone to NA, found some success, come back, and then had to grind your way back up to get to the top. And yet here you both still stand. It's just really cool to me. It's crazy.
I also think people going to NA, it's rare they come back. You know?
It's rare they come back, and they come back better, or it can show us more.
Yeah.
And I think that like that seems to be the trajectory that you're both on, and certainly the trajectory you've been on, and the one that you're on currently, it seems, is Excel just continue to rise. And it's cool. I think it's a testament to you both and your ability to just tenacity, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I don't know.
But also
perseverance.
Yeah.
I see so many, let's say, connections between when I was doing good or when we were on the team. The whole environment was just like lighting up. Like it was great. Like everyone enjoyed being there. Actually, like you just enjoy being there. Like that's the most important thing in the end. And then when we go through, or like when I go through slumps, I see like people don't really want to work with each other. Like it just feels like people don't want to be there. They don't want to be in that room and scrim together and play together and be together. And like when we were together on past teams, like we will make everyone giggle. If, like,
yeah, I mean that's true.
If you're not giggling, you're out. So
laugh or leave.
I like it. So we always kind of ended up building this great environment, and just being friends outside of the game was like the most important theme for us.
Yeah,
but it came natural. Like we didn't think about, hey, this is important. Like it just happened, you know.
Like you can describe it now probably more eloquently than it actually happened. I assume a lot in those early rosters where you guys just got along. Vibe was good. You were quick friends.
Yeah.
It sounds like it just happened very naturally. Now you can look back because you're both professionals and you've been around for a while. Yeah, we established a strong team. Like you guys were just chilling. It sounded like the vibes were just good.
I think we also have like very similar humor that helped with whenever we saw something like funny or there was something happening in a room, we usually like either made fun of it like throughout like the weeks. I don't really remember, right? But like we have very similar humor. We laugh at the same things, and then it's like contagious, you know. Like when someone is happy in the room, usually you get happy, right? And it's the same. Like I feel like that's the same when things are getting really bad. So, and it's also in the past there was less professionalism, right? There's less people who took care of like the important things, right? Obviously. So it was very, very lucky that we had the chance of like building that good environment without noticing it, right? Because back then we're still very young. We're not aware of like, oh, this is important, right? Being happy is important in a team, like being open with each other, right? Like I think we may have done a lot, or like maybe too much even, like outside of the game. Like we went out quite a bit in Turkey. Like
scrims are over, let's go to this cafe, you know?
Yeah, we would always go and we like right now the manager that Abbe is working with, Mert. We were working, like every time I was working with Abbe, I was also working with Mert, and he's a very, very dear friend of mine as well, and him. And he was also
like kind of like a trio.
He was also
was always there, except Mysterious Monkeys.
Exactly, yeah.
He was just there in every team.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because he's also very similar. Like it's kind of like a trio, you know. And I know him the same amount of time I know Abbe. I know Abbe like maybe 3 months longer than that. And he just completely fit the vibe as well and added into it in every single team we've been on together, which made it super easy to be like in a good environment.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you guys just stumbled on something special, and I think that like people are starting to appreciate more and more how much that dynamic is important in esports teams and trying to kind of replicate it artificially with more structure, right? But it's cool that you kept it even when at the start of your careers you weren't winning. Because for so many teams, it's like that are like band of brothers, super team. It's like the thing that kept a lot of those friendships together is just winning. It's just like being really good. And despite having struggles, you guys still seemed like have good humor. Maybe went out a few too many times to the cafe, sure. After scrims, I think that was just esports in that era, to be honest. But it's cool that it continued through.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. Because you'll cherish that for the rest of your life, won't you? You know, it's like you'll look back in 20 years and look back at your teens and early 20s. You'll be like,
damn. For sure. I mean,
you fit the vibe.
Yeah, that's cool. Shifting our attention back to the league now and where we're at. You guys are playing each other, but as cool as that matchup is, it's hard for you guys to talk about it in any really in-depth way, I think, without giving anything up. So we'll get predictions at the end or whatever. You're now kings sitting atop the league, though, and we can talk about the rest of the peasants. So this is what I want to do. I want to go through some of the matchups, talk about some of it. We already highlighted a little bit the Mad Fnatic side, but just to get both your thoughts on some of the other matchups that are coming through. I'd love to get your thoughts on Koi versus Heretics. This is the other group, so obviously you haven't had as much time to play these things. Is there anything that like really stood out to you this past weekend when you think about these two teams? And thoughts on maybe who's just going to take this? Who's going to be able to make it out from this group between Koi, Heretics, BDS?
Ooh. Who's going to show up on the weekend of the finals? Because you guys are both there.
My feeling says it's very even actually with Heretics and Koi. I think they've both Heretics kind of they are both weird teams to me because I think Koi has some strong players in Larsen, and Marang has he's sometimes good, sometimes he's a bit weird.
Yeah,
but they managed to get a lead with G2 and then they still threw, which was surprising to me that they in the first place they get this big lead and then they completely throw it. So if they can kind of perform strong like that, I think they have a good shot versus Heretics. Heretics, I feel like they're dependent on getting a good draft, kind of like something that they like to put VTO on something that he just
takes over.
Gets like he becomes Thanos with a lot of farm and gets a lot of kills, and then he does well.
That Kai'Sa
if they don't get that, then it might be hard for Heretics.
Yeah. I think it's a bit tricky. I think obviously this past, especially the series against BDS, like Evie just had a really bad day, and I think that cost a lot. And I think while there were some good moments, especially the first game from VTO where he just got a million CS, got a very strong pick in the meta, did kind of the Thanos thing where he took over like you're talking about. The next two games, credit to Nuke. Nuke really showed up and I think like actually showed he could play Jason, could shut that down. And I don't know, it's hard for me to gauge where Team Heretics are. I hope Evie can have better performances here because I'm sure he wasn't happy with that one either. But Koi's the one, I guess. Koi and BDS feel like the safest bets of the three to me. I don't know how you're feeling, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Heretics look like the weakest. Also, Heretics was cooking a lot. They were playing like the Kai'Sa mid, but then they also played Tristana mid with like Seraphine AD carry. So, I mean,
the Zig spot lane.
Flackid, from the G2 days, you still got this like
you were there
going.
for that. Yeah.
I mean, I was happy when he pulled that out. I think he's very, very good at Seraphine. Like it's like, oh, Seraphine, it's an easy champ, but like he's actually very good at it. I was not sold on the Ziggs, but I think Heretics is a team that is obviously a bit draft dependent. I feel like they don't always play good normal awards. I think I feel like if Mid and AD are playing well, usually they're winning. Like I think they're actually a decent team. I think they're to be respected, right? I think, I think I would give it actually Heretics over Koi. I think.
Okay. What's wrong? What's going on with Koi? Because Koi, like Abba highlighted, I was kind of caught off guard when Koi got that fat lead against you guys early game. I was more caught off guard than when you won that game anyway.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I feel like the lead looked a lot bigger than it actually was because they were putting a lot of attention to top lane, right? And I was playing.
Yeah, how did it feel being camped literally every single game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, didn't feel great.
Isn't it like a compliment? They're like, we gotta shut him down.
It's kind of like a compliment, you know. When I checked my stats, like the laning stats, and they were atrocious. They were like minus 20 CS. Like everything red. But
you know my numbers, but not my story.
Yeah, exactly. I know, like I think over the years I got really resilient with things like that. Like before, I would get like, shit, like he's top. I'm just gonna flip the game, you know, and like because I'm so confident in my team that they can pull something off. Like if I get camped, obviously either I expect it to be matched or that we get something on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Because in a team, it's like if you get camped. Like obviously there's some moments where you die and it's bad to die in that moment because your jungler is either in base or whatever. But there is times, like I feel like T1 was a team that was really, really insane at this, that last year at MSI, when you gank top, they would just dive your bot no matter what, right? And I feel like we have a very same philosophy on that, or like when Yike is like on the map and I play aggressive and I die, I can say confidently that enemy bot lane was gonna suffer, right? And I mean that is something that is just very
writing it down.
Write it down.
It is very obvious, right, that it happens because I mean everybody knows cross-map plays, right? It's nothing new. Maybe it's new for Excel, right?
If anyone
because
watching
I did not
this
see Excel do that yet, but
I can tell you're getting worried about getting backlash from like the fans thinking you're leaking G2 strats. So you're just like covering your base.
Just cross maps.
I can play with a lot of confidence because I know my team is there to punish the enemy when
to get something. If you're going to give something up, they'll get something back.
When someone does something bad to you and then your boys come
back you up.
and then they beat up the kids, you know.
Yeah.
I feel
like those kind of stories.
The boys are always showing
like
up
if you
on time.
hit me, my older brothers Hansama and Mickey are gonna show up.
Like my big bros, they're behind me, you know, when I get ganked. So like either Yike is there or he's bot.
Yeah.
When I get ganked.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like maybe you didn't expect it in the series because like you played a lot of Jackson set, right? And I'm looking at your numbers now for like the playoffs.
It's
like
crazy.
Minus
right?
30 CS on average at 15, and it's like. Did you ever think after like the first 2 games, it's like the only reason they're coming top is because I'm playing a carry and I won't play a tank even though I'm the weak side? It's like the thing playing the carry is what's making them come top.
I mean, I feel like
no,
it's just Malrang specific. Like I think no other player is playing like that. And Malrang, I played with him before, and I cannot recall that he was playing this kind of style, right? And before Malrang was not putting a lot of attention on top lane usually. Like usually when he would be like really crazy, really not farming, like if you remember last year, he was not farming any camp, ganking. He would not gank top usually. And now this is the first time I experienced that, right? And I'm gonna fear that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Usually he would gank mid a lot or bot a lot.
Yeah, I remember there was a game
dodge
of Hecarim.
every ward
Yeah.
with Jarvan, EQ over walls. But now this is the 3rd game in a row I play against Malrang. He's camping top. So I hope he keeps on coming top because apparently it's not working, right?
Well, your top lane percentage coming into your second series, opponent jungle percentage was like 18%. It's like 7 seconds per percentage point. So he was top 2 minutes of every one of your lane phases. A game takes like 20 seconds. That's like on average 10 ganks a game.
It's personal at this point.
Yeah, and I did count how many times he was top. Like in my lane, it was 11 times in 2 games. I didn't count the times where he was like hovering top or like doing the herald. It's like actually in my lane.
Yeah.
But I take it as a compliment, right? First time this happened. I was like, after the series, I was like to my team, I've never experienced a game like this in my life. Like I probably play like around like 400 or 500 games. Never like this.
Were your teammates like looking at your stats or like saying like laughing at you, or they're like, you know what, BB, you tanked that like a champ?
I was saying, guys, look at my stats. That's crazy. I've never had this. Like this bad, you know? Yeah. And it's just crazy. Like I don't mind because I feel like that's very normal to be there when you get like super camped.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
But I mean, I think the most important part is still to like have impact, right? Play the game. And I feel like I did in especially that series because I also feel like whatever.
Yeah.
I can't say much, right? But
But he feels like when he plays Jax, he can still stun 3 people, build Divine Sunderer, and be relevant in the late game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
That's just Jax to you, right?
Yeah.
I hope Jax is weak.
Jax is weak.
Jax.
I think pro players say that a lot. It's like when I hear a pro player say, "Oh, that champ is weak," I can't tell if they're actually it's weak or they're like, "It's so OP," that they're like, "Yeah, it's weak."
Mickey says that a lot.
He says it's weak when it's broken, doesn't he? Oh, Mickey.
That said, predictions from both of you. Who is actually making it out of this group? Koi, Team Heretics, BDS. Who do you actually think is going to join for some part of the lower bracket?
I think it's BDS. I think they're going to beat whoever wins the first match.
Yeah.
They just seem like the most composed team. They have strengths going for them in every lane, kind of. They can play around it.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think that like BDS have looked of these teams, I feel like they are the most reliable. I think there's a world where they can lose, and we could see a Team Heretics or a Koi in top 4. But I think if like you wanted to bet on a team right now that wasn't one of your 2 teams to be consistent to show up, I think BDS is probably the team that you bet on.
Okay, I would say like out of both groups, right?
No, out of this group. So the bottom line.
Then I agree. I think BDS looks the most like if you give them 10 games, they will probably win the most out of those 10 games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would also go with BDS.
The Adam effect.
But it sounds like you have a different opinion on who the most consistent team is on the top line. Now, I know that before groups started, you probably would have said Fnatic, like most of us would have. Is it SK now? You've been singing a lot of praise for SK recently.
Yeah. I mean, I think if Fnatic bounces back, I think they will win very, very hard, like very like big stomps.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they come back, right? That's the thing. I think right now, SK is probably gonna win. If I have to say, like from previous performances. Because again, like I feel like they have found their footing, kind of like SK. Like I feel like they're playing a lot of champs they want. They're playing well those champs as well. I think their players stepped up from last splits. Like I can see, like for example, at least from my point of view, if I play against Irrelevant, I'm like, he's definitely better than he was.
Yeah.
When I first played against him, and like the previous splits. So props to him as well, right? I think that it's a team that is starting to get better and better, and that's also a team in scrims. They are always willing to play more. They're always willing to like get better, right? Like you can feel it.
Yeah, they're hungry.
Exactly, hungry. I feel like that's the good word. They're like really motivated. I feel like to show up. But I think if Fnatic gets their footing back and like find the way to the meta, because I think they were really behind, or at least they couldn't play the meta champs well, they will probably win. But other than that, SK.
Yeah, but it feels like a 2-horse race at this point. Are you inclined to agree? You're just looking at Fnatic and SK mostly to make it through?
I mean, honestly, I believe it's going to be SK or Mad Lions. I don't know, it's just like it's the feeling.
It's just a feeling? You just believe in the mad bounce back, I assume? Or do you just believe Fnatic are just absolutely donezo?
So I was quite impressed by SK in their series versus Fnatic. I feel like they just forced well on their power spikes. They like instantly punished Fnatic when Nash spawned the 20. They have their tools and they'll start it and they'll keep your jungler out. And yeah, you can just make a mistake like showing bot without TP when Nash is up against them. And they've played quite solid. I kind of believe in the mad bounce back. I know they won last split.
Yeah.
Versus us, they weren't impressive at all. But I still have like a spider sense that they might be bouncing back.
To be fair, it's the same spider sense that led us to predict them beating you. So I don't know where to be with Mad. I'll be honest with you, man. It's really hard to say. Like we had him on the podcast last week and we're like, how do you know you're improving? What's your process? And they said a lot of things.
They were just like, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. And it's like, I guess I should trust you because you've won and you won last split. But also, what? Like, it feels much less tangible or concrete.
Like the thing is, if they win first round, they'll get some momentum. They'll get some confidence back. That might ride them through the... They might ride the wave and beat
We
SK.
know their ceiling is pretty high when they're playing well together. It's so hard to know.
I also thought if anyone's going to benefit from this melee sport meta, it would be Hilly, right? And if anyone's going to like lose out on it, it's probably going to be Trimby. So I expected this to be like a much better patch for them, but I don't know. seems
one week can change a lot. I think that is the most interesting matchup, though, is Fnatic versus Mad Lions, because the rest, we'll see what happens. Obviously, high stakes, but this is elimination. If Mad get eliminated, they're still in season finals. If Fnatic get eliminated, that's crazy. Because again, BB, you talked about them as the team to you were like, okay, maybe this is another consistent team that could be a strong shower, a strong representative for Europe as we look forward to Worlds, international competition, and it's crazy to think about how quickly that can change in this format. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
The last matchup, though. Or wait, who are you? You're predicting Mad or SK to get through? Did you want to lock in one or the other?
I think so. Since I think Mad will win, they'll get some momentum, some confidence,
and then
they still have strong players. I don't see why they would not beat SK in that case. But I think I also respect SK. So. But you want me to give one answer, right? So I'll say...
if you feel like that concrete in it, I think it's okay. Because BB still basically said it's Fnatic or SK, depending on if Fnatic show up or not. So I can't...
Yeah, Mad SK.
I can still lock in an answer.
Who would you lock in? Fnatic?
I will lock in Fnatic.
Dang.
Locked. Loaded.
Fnatic. Locked.
Okay, I'll lock in SK.
Boom. More faith in what you've actually seen from SK than in the Mad Lion Spidey sense, which I think is fair. The Mad Lion Spidey sense has led me wrong.
My Spidey sense says Koi.
What? Yeah. Why does your Spidey sense say Koi?
I don't know. Lock it in.
I'm saying BDS for the other group. I think that's what everyone else said too, right?
I'll say Fnatic Koi. Lock it in.
Wait, what did you say for the other group? BB, I'm sorry. I'm
going to lock in Heretics.
Oh, yeah?
I will lock in Heretics.
Wait, that's good then, because we've got an even spread. So one of us will be right. So the EUphoria podcast never fails again.
It never fails again.
Yeah.
All right, last thing. The final matchup on Monday, our first best of 5.
The elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room. G2 versus XL.
Should we just give them one-liners each?
Do you guys, I assume you're both going to predict your own team. That feels like a pretty easy bet, so I won't ask. So yeah, is there any trash talk? Any sick one-liners? We don't really have the production value right now to make an LCK trash talk vid, but is there any any spice you guys want to give us before this matchup? You're looking at it. You've got this big ass grin on your face.
I'm waiting for him to go first.
You can go first.
Yeah, behind the scenes, we've been building some mental edge.
Mm-hmm.
These are the rumors on the street. I think they shouldn't underestimate us. We are still the underdog, I believe, just from the performances we've showed on LEC. But I think we'll hit them something that they won't expect.
Okay. Okay. Hit them with someone they don't expect. Yeah. Do you want to call anybody shit real fast? Anybody call anybody trash? Because you gave a very disciplined, respectful answer, and that is your right as a pro player. I respect that, especially because people, you've got a bunch of parasocial Andys out there. They're going to feel like they have to stand up for BB if you say anything mean. Very cringe, but people do it anyway. Do you want any extra spice? You don't have to.
No, I'm no meanie today.
Okay. He doesn't stoop to those lows.
That's the vibe, BB. What's the response here?
I'll be respectful. So I'm gonna ask you to please pick TF against us. I hope XL shows up. Or they're gonna have to go home very quick, right?
Yep.
I feel like it's not cocky from me to say that it's like we're the top dogs.
Oh yeah, okay.
I like that word.
The top dogs.
But yeah, we definitely will go into the match thinking they are the best team in the world, right? That's our how we gonna
philosophy, yeah.
How we gonna play, how we want to play. So no matter who our opponent is, we are gonna try to beat them as hard as possible.
All right.
Scoreline?
3-0.
I knew he was going to say that. You know why? Because the one thing I want to reference was the World Finals last year, where in the press conference, all 5 T1 players said 3-0, and they lost. And that always gets clipped.
I think
it's epic.
I think if they prepare something very well, I think it's always you can always drop a game. I feel like in best-offs. But at least from past experiences playing against XL, I can say we 3-0 or 3-1. I think obviously they have.
What are you doing, Abba? I mean, I'm curious. You're 3-0, blah blah blah. Yeah, I get it. You guys are favorites. You're being respectful. Are you a 3-2, a 3-1 of your team?
I'm listening, but I would say 3-2.
3-2, 5 games. Respectful. Although I appreciate how respectful you are, BB. But
he gave you 2 games.
I'm respectful because I want to be respectful. Yeah. I obviously respect
Abba.
Not only Abba, but they have good players, right? I play with Limit. I play with Abba. Played against Odo a lot, and those are really good players, right? And Peach has been showing up.
Playing against
Mert. I know the thing is, if I lose, he's gonna tweet some shit, and I don't want to see that. So that's extra motivation for me, right? So yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to be like we are not to underestimate our opponents.
Yeah. And the thing you have to understand, BB, is that you're already lost season finals, and plans for Tuesdays in general. That's the off day. My boy Abba here, not only is he fighting for season finals, he's fighting for the right to hang out with his best friend.
Yeah.
So he's fighting for the right.
No. Because if he loses, he still has.
If he wins, he's top 2 guaranteed. Yeah. So that means I think XL are in, which means he'll stay for an extra few weeks.
Beating you is truly the greatest act of love and friendship.
And Vitality's out. Actually, yeah. If you lose, Vitality's out.
That is true, but
do you want to hang out in the break? Oh no. just let me know next Monday.
Wait, we're gonna hang out no matter what, because he said
tweet it, bro.
He said
send the picture.
He's gonna stay for a
Post
week.
it. You know?
And I think the top 3 matches on Saturday. No?
Top 2 matches on Monday, I think.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
The XL Euro match on Monday.
No, if he goes to lower bracket.
If he goes to lower bracket, it's for third winner versus second. He would play on
but he will still
Saturday,
stay.
Yeah.
He'll stay on the top 3 week. He'll be there for next week, yeah.
Exactly. So no matter what.
But if he wins, he'll be there for August as well.
That is true.
Because of the season finals, he would have qualified. So he'll be there for an extra 5 or 6 weeks.
That is true. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, just want to put that up there.
We will put out proof.
Sorry. What
do
you
guys
actually
get to hang out?
What do you guys think?
What do I think?
What is your predictions?
Yeah, I'm gonna predict G2 on this one. I'm continuously impressed by your team, and I would love to see you guys go further. But the safest bet in the world right now is G2.
Yeah, G2. Yeah. Is it the Euphoria curse though? Because I feel like this always happens. We always predict one team, like the Mad XL. Everyone was like, yeah, Mad, and then XL win. And it's like the more you doubt them, the more the curse just manifests.
The stronger that they get. So, and if that's true, then we just have the greatest copium take as to why our predictions against Abba are helping Abba.
Yeah.
Very self-serving of us. Yeah. Anyway, I hope for a banger. Yeah. I hope for 5 games. And it would be sick if XL could prove expectations wrong. That would be cool.
I feel like if this best of 5 is won by XL, then expectations are gone. Like the
Forever.
whole 10th.
Nothing is safe.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole 10th place thing is already gone to me. I just, the glow up.
I think people are struggling to accept the top 2 thing. Because people are like, where's Mad? Where's Fnatic? SK? Are they good? You know, all that thing.
Well, this is what this weekend.
What I said is if XL managed to get there in the first place, they deserve to be there, right? Like it's very simple, but it makes sense. I also think, like, to be fair, I think the patch is very fitting for XL compared to the last patches, like over the whole year. I think this is the best patch ever. So this is obviously something that is also like for us. It's like, oh, we're gonna have to really find out what is good for them and try to counter it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And they obviously know that as well, right?
And we'll see if it works. Thank you both for coming on today. Good luck with your preparation. Hopefully you guys can enjoy the Saturday and Sunday games a little bit.
And there's no Euphoria curse who loses because they're both here.
There's no Euphoria. We can't curse them both. Unless you guys just play like the worst game of League of Legends we've ever seen, which would be kind of funny.
Yeah. We like bad games.
Just absolute like animal style, brain off, no macro. That would be fun too.
That would be good.
Not opposed to that. Anyway, groups continues Saturday the 22nd, 17:30 ready check. You can see it on the screen behind me if you are watching the video. Our playoffs kick off on Monday with the match between both of you. Wish you both nothing but the best of luck, and I hope you have a really dank time hanging out after this whole thing blows over. So yeah, thanks again for coming. This has been episode 18 of the Euphoria podcast. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Cheers.
Cheers.